Well, the small, medium, and micro enterprises, they play a significant role in Kenya's economic development. I mean, when you talk about statistics, they employ close to 94% of all the country's workforce, and their contribution to Kenya's GDP is about 25%. But this industry, faces significant headwinds. This afternoon on Inside Government, we want to have a look at the MSMEs industry and what the government is doing to help raise the profile of MSMEs in this country. And of course, my name is O'Brien Kimani, and you're watching us live from Broadcasting House. I'm joined by the chairperson of the Medium and Small Enterprises Authority. This is James Moreo. I mean, he has been a business person. He has been the past vice president of the Kenya Private Sector Alliance, not Kenya Private Sector Alliance, Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industries. And so he's aware of the challenges that this critical industry is facing. And of course, he has an idea of how to deal with this. And of course, on this show, we have also managed to talk to some of the MSMEs. And of course, we are going to highlight some of the issues on this program that is coming up at some point. Well, thank you very much indeed, Chairman, for joining us. When you look at the MSMEs industry, how would you describe it right now?
All right, thank you very much, O'Brien, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yes, it's been a new year, and before I describe that, let me talk about 2024. I think 2024 is a very difficult year for most people, and more so for the micro and small enterprises. The economy was playing up. The world economy was also playing up, and really the brunt of it all was borne by the micro and small enterprises. However, 2025 has come with a burst of new energy, and I feel we are likely to achieve a lot more now this year with renewed commitment from the sector. O'Brien, I'll tell you, if there is a sector that has suffered from all angles, it is the micro and small enterprises. If there is mistrust, what you call mistrust, people don't trust the sector. People, the banks, the financial institutions don't trust the sector. They don't believe that these people will borrow and pay. And so when you don't have adequate resources, then therein lies your biggest problem. And so you find no matter how hardworking and how willing they are to do what they best know, they are inhibited by lack of resources. Now, banks would rather lend salaried staff who do not generate any income, but not lend the Juakali, the fellows who really are creative and innovative. So, in much as that is the case, you will also find that in the sector lies the most resilient people, the most innovative people, the most creative people. The ones who rose quickest out of the COVID-19 pandemic, the ones who were grappling with all the difficulties of the post-election violence and everything that happens, all the problems reside there. But we are only saved by the fact that this sector has also very resilient, very hardworking, very creative people, and that is what sustains us. Now, O'Brien, I'll tell you, focusing on what the president of the United States has said.
This is Donald Trump.
Donald Trump has said, you're on your own. And I'm glad we are on our own.
The era of handouts.
Yes, the era of handouts is gone.
It's gone.
And this is where now the country must now reset its priorities, must reset its key development areas, and one that stands out heads and shoulders above the rest is the micro and small enterprise sector, where we can now refocus resources, the little resources we have, the energy to make sure that the sector grows in tandem with what we've been left out to do. I mean, what we have at the Kariobangi Center of Excellence, which we will be talking about, is a case in point. And the many other county industrial development centers that we have put up in close to 200 constituencies in the country, which are good growth areas that we should focus our energy on and be able to prop up this economy, short of which we shall be running around helpless, because the big brother has said no more support, and we mass engineer. And do we really need that support? And again, I'll tell you, O'Brien, many a times I've said, we don't need aid anymore. We need to trade.
Yeah, we need
and
trade.
We need to trade. And if we trade as we rightly should, I mean, the opportunities that we've been given by AGOA, for example, there are 6,200 products. 6,200 products that we should be exploiting. How many are we working on? Less than 100. So I think as a country we need to press that reset button, go back to our good old ways and really just redevelop ourselves into a mindset of driving exports, driving manufacturing. Because importing will never sort our problems.
It's not going to sort our
If
problems.
we don't manufacture and if we don't drive industry, I promise you will be in the trenches forever.
And I like the fact that you're bringing in the issue of, exploiting the opportunities that lie within the AGOA. I mean, not AGOA, but within the African continent through the...
it's actually AGOA.
Yes.
It's actually AGOA, yeah.
You know, AGOA is American.
Yes.
And when you look at the African, continent, we also come up with the African Free Trade Area Agreement.
Yes, yes.
That brings together more than 1.2 billion people.
Correct.
With an economy almost $3 trillion.
Yes.
$3 trillion US dollars.
Yes.
And so we do not have a case study of any country that has ever developed without having a strong industrialization base.
100%.
Look at the US.
100%.
Look at China now.
Absolutely.
It's now has now become the world manufacturing center. And so we have an opportunity to help prop up our MSMEs to become the next big companies. Are we doing that?
To be honest with you, we're not. As a country, we're not doing enough. We've done a little, but not enough. And what I would want to see is more of everyone, not just government, but even the private sector. We all give the sector lip service, yet we know that is where our growth trajectory lies. So it's about institutions, financial institutions, government institutions, development partners, all pumping resources in that sector that employs, and you have rightly said, 94% of this country's workforce. And I'll correct something else. It's actually the sector that's contributing upwards of 30% to GDP.
30%?
30% to GDP. So it's not a sector you can wish away or ignore. And yet, if you look, when it's time to really demolish the structures that they have, instead of thinking of how we can improve this sector, these structures and give them more equipment and continuously build them to be better, we go and create a road or something that really is not our priority. Because yes, a road is good, but if you're killing the livelihood of these people, what are you really? Are you solving a problem by creating another problem? I mean, it doesn't add up. So I am of the opinion that the government and the private sector can do a lot more if only they understood that what Donald Trump, President of the United States, had said is, please, get your act together. You have enough resources. Is Kenya poor? Of course not.
It is not poor.
It is not poor. Is Africa poor? It is not poor. But Kenya and our MSME and the Jua-Kali sector can actually be used as a springboard to the African Continental Free Trade Agreement area, where we manufacture and create a manufacturing culture that will go beyond our boundaries. That's what I would like to see.
You see, you're saying that, yes, as a country that we are trying, or we have done something, but it is not enough.
No, it's not.
You see, when you look at the new administration of President William Ruto came on board back in 2022, he talked about raising the bottom of the pyramid businesses, empowering them by giving them finances, opportunities. And we have seen a number of county integrated industrial parks,
Yes.
being constructed.
Yes.
The government is also talking about empowering what they are calling the constituency industrial sheds.
Yes.
What else do we need to do if this is not enough?
You know, O'Brien, and I'll say this in the full glare of the cameras. The president is a team leader. He says a lot of things. And he means well. Whatever pronouncement he makes means well for this country. It is actually the implementation. Because if it's not for lack of enough laws in this country or enough legislation that we are in the situation we are in, it is lack of implementation. So that you find, if, for example, we have said we want to create the county aggregation industrial parks, the president has pronounced it, the minister has said it. Can we then put actual resources behind that pronouncement so that those KIPEs are resourced, they are made industrial centers that can turn this country around? As micro and small enterprises, with the resources that we've been allocated by government, we have actually developed over 200 constituency industrial development centers across the whole country, and developing more.
270.
We have 290 constituencies, but we have done about 200 constituencies so far. That
So
are
98 to go.
Yes.
What has been the impact of those 200?
They have helped a lot, because what we have, O'Brien, are county industrial development, constituency industrial development centers, which are common user facilities, like what you saw in the Kariobangi Center of Excellence, where we build and equip the site with modern equipment that can help with either cutting metal or wood or spray painting, whatever it is that the industry needs. And you only go in there with your material, cut, and go and do the joinery in your shed. You cut, and they are precise machines, and I'm sure you've seen them. They're good. Are they the best? No. We can
Absolutely
still get better. But so far they have done well. If you have visited, and I'm sure you saw that, right now the Kariobangi Center of Excellence is the one that is modernizing these electric buses. And they are putting in new windows. You know, when an electric bus comes and they have all these requirement for windows that actually conform, because the ones that come are moving up and down. They are supposed to have sideways windows. They are doing all that. Fantastic work. I was there 2 days ago. They are doing a brilliant job. If you look at the affordable housing scheme, they are doing a lot of fine finished products. But who knows about this? Whoever talks about this? So a lot of times I see, and I'm happy to be here talking about the gains were made. And I'm sure people are seeing Kariobangi Center of Excellence for the first time, some of them. There are good things happening there.
Actually, even me, it was my first time.
Yes, there are good things happening there. But what happens, O'Brien, is you find even government, and I'll defend government a bit here and say, they are doing a lot of things. But whoever talks about this, I think time has come for us to have, even the government spokesperson must be relevant to what is going on the ground.
I want to take, for example, you know, what we are seeing on the screen, and this is what you're calling the Kariobangi Center of Excellence.
Yes.
Whereby the incubation of small and medium enterprises, you know, it happens. And then after there, I think it's about 2 years. You are incubated for 2 years.
Yes, for 2 years.
And then you're allowed to go free so that you can set up your business.
Yes.
But this is just one of, it's just one. Like, you have this only Center of Excellence here in Nairobi.
No, we have 5. We have 5 across
here
the country.
In Nairobi.
No,
I'm talking about in Nairobi.
In Nairobi, yes.
Nairobi is like the heartbeat of innovation in this country. It's
Yes.
like the heartbeat of investment in this country.
Yes.
And to be honest, I mean, whatever is happening at Kariobangi Center of Excellence, I mean, it's good.
Yes.
But this is barely enough, even for the population of one constituency, Starehe.
Yes.
Why can't we replicate what is happening in Kariobangi Center of Excellence to all the 290 constituencies? Again,
O'Brien, I'll tell you, you are seeing this for the first time. A lot of people are probably reading this Kariobangi Center of Excellence for the first time.
And it has been there since 1971.
It has been since 1996. That's when it was modernized a bit. But the truth is, if we do not value that enterprise, then it remains dormant there. But do we have the skills? Do we have the people that are willing to re-innovate? Yes. The only problem is, are we paying serious attention to such an industrial center? And my answer is no. And we need to retweak our thinking. We need to look at how can we support that sector better so that they become a backbone of this economy.
Chairman, the beauty of it is that you are at the apex of the Medium and Small Enterprise Authority, bearing in mind that you are the chairperson. And at your level, you can drive a policy agenda. And when you look at MSEA, I mean, since 2012, the whole agenda was to prop up and to support the micro and small medium enterprises in this country. Is it doing that? Is it playing that role?
Yes, it is. Are we doing enough? No. Do we have enough resources? No. So it is a question of, and I say this again with due respect to the government, that we must look at priority and decide. You know, I'm a farmer, I have a few cows, and there are some that I milk that produce a lot of milk. Some you struggle to get 5, 10 liters. Others give you 25 liters without a... So when I'm feeding my cows, which one do I start with?
Of course,
if I have one bag of chakula, I first feed the 25. Ikishiba ndio, the others can take a little.
They can eat the leftovers.
So that is the analogy that I would like to see applied in the actual government institutions, where you see, where is our growth trajectory? Now with this advent, remember during COVID, when COVID happened, who were the first people to come up with creative equipment that dispensed soap on one side and the water on the other side without you touching anything? They are very creative. And so it is that creativity, that innovation that the government and everyone in this country must look at and say, this is what we want to concentrate on. And I'll tell you something, O'Brien. A country like Taiwan or Malaysia or Indonesia, those tigers, they did not just happen. They didn't just happen.
It was a deliberate effort.
India didn't just grow into an industrial country like that. They were deliberate and intentional in whatever they did. So they look at their best options and they took that out very well and supported, so that their energy is not spread so thin.
I want to hear this from you, Chairman. I mean, and you know, in this country, you always have small financial resources, chasing
a myriad of issues.
A myriad of issues. And so you never get to a point whereby you have more resources than needs. For you to set up these kind of center of excellencies, let's even talk about, in all the 47 counties.
Yes.
How much would that take to set up even one?
If you look at the one at Kariobangi South, Kariobangi Center of Excellence, the time when it was set up, the equipment there must have cost something like 100 million Kenya shillings. The equipment that is there, as obsolete or as old as they are. If you are to do a modern one, then you'd be looking at a much higher figure than that. But is there a return on that? Yes, there is. Because if you drive enough exports out of that, you will be able to then commercialize the activities in that, turn it into an income-generating center that will be able to support any other counties that may not have the same kind of economic power. So it is a question of, again, getting priorities right. What is our priority as a country? Do we want to industrialize? Do we want to grow exports so that we stop dependency? When we talk of buy Kenya, build Kenya, their equipment, their products that are manufactured out of there. You have seen those people manufacturing tower tanks for thingy.
Yes.
Made from scratch there. What about furniture? Made from scratch from there. What about bodies, bus bodies, bodybuilding? Fabrication.
Yep.
From scratch.
It's happening there. And
now, what I challenged them the other day, O'Brien, is even as we look at all this, given resources, we can actually start looking at reverse engineering some of these processes. I don't see why we should be importing these chairs. All we need is to take this to Juakali, dismantle it, then reverse engineer and produce this chair. It's not rocket science. And that's what I would like to see as a way forward. But we need resources to support these guys.
Mr. Chairman, I mean, the business of developing and, of course, you know, propping up MSMEs, I mean, it doesn't just lie with MCEA.
No.
MCEA is one of the many players in the cog. You have
Yes.
the county governments, for examples. Are you working with the county government? Because county governments are supposed to be key economic enablers, and especially for small and micro enterprises, because that is where they're domiciled.
My answer to you is yes and no. There are counties that have embraced the micro and small enterprises and are supporting that sector. And I'll cite them, like Uasin Gishu, for example. Kotimoja has been very supportive. If you look at Makueni, Machakos, they have supported their MSMEs. If you look at counties like Migori, they are supporting the MSMEs. How do we know this? When we have the East African Fair, which you attended in South Sudan, for example, last year, and this year it's going to be in Nairobi. Last year, but one it was in Burundi. You notice the counties that take time to support their Juakali and their micro and small enterprises to go and showcase there. It is when they showcase their products there that they get orders, that they are able then to build and grow. Now, there are counties that have neglected their micro and small enterprises, and I'll cite Nairobi as one of them.
Nairobi County.
This is the heart of all the Juakali. But look at the delegation that leaves Nairobi here. They have to cater for all their needs. Kotimoja, and thank you, Kotimoja, if you are listening.
There's a governor for
the governor of Uasin Gishu. He actually delivers them, pays for their transportation, accommodation. We as micro and small enterprises, we provide transportation of all their wares to whichever destination. But Kotimoja and the well-meaning governors support.
I also saw Machakos.
Machakos was there. Makueni was there. Migori was there.
I didn't see my county of Kiambu.
Those are the ones that are failing.
Murang'a was missing.
Murang'a was not there. Nakuru was there, but on their own. I want to say this. People like Kotimoja, they don't only support. They actually travel to see and gain experience and see how much more support they can. And it was started by Mandago, by the way. Governor Mandago, the former governor, is the one who started, and Kotimoja has continued, which is very good.
So is it that, you know, these counties, they don't see the potential that lies with supporting MSMEs?
No, actually, I want to cite them here and say they have misplaced priorities. For lack of a better word, it's misplaced priorities. They must get their act together and realize that when you nurture that industry that employs, even if you say 94% of the workforce in the country, it means 94% even in the counties. So
when you look at these counties,
how can you ignore that sector that
do you see any budget to support MSMEs?
They don't.
Any development budget?
They don't. I can tell you for sure. In fact, if anything, they want to continue pushing them off they don't even realize that. They are pushing off the what is it called? The hen that lays the golden eggs. They are pushing them off. They don't. They ignore them. And I suppose there is something else that I want to say here, O'Brien. You see the name micro. Micro is insignificant.
Yeah.
Small is insignificant. And I suppose there is power in names. So that if you look at every time you are referred to as a micro, are you really important? Small, are you important? I have proposed, and I want to persuade my PS and CS to change that name and rename the sector and call it emerging enterprises. It has dignity, emerging enterprises. They feel nice. It doesn't matter how small you are emerging. And one day you'll be finally there. Micro and small enterprises, the power in names is there. And sometimes it can be catastrophic. It's like when you tell your children, you're stupid, they become stupid.
I want to hear this from you. I mean, and when you look at the challenges, you know, that small businesses, face, lack of capital, lack of proper business management skills, expensive power or energy, electricity, security. And those are some of the issues, they also captured at the Kariobangi Center of Excellence. As MCER, how are you coming on board to help them deal with those daily challenges?
Brian, I'll tell you, we can only petition the government for additional resources. We have approached a number of development partners to render some support, and we are beginning to see some light at the end of the tunnel. There are some programs we are running which you will be seeing shortly. We are rolling out 2 programs, KJET and Nyota, that is aiming at, first of all, capacity building the micro and small enterprises across the whole country. And once we've built their capacity, then we are going to also be funding them, giving them tranches of support that can get them started. And as they grow now, my plea to all the financial institutions is watch this space. And as they grow, can you then come on board and handhold them and take them to the next level?
When we were starting this conversation, you talked about the pronouncement by the new U.S. President, Donald Trump, whereby he said he's putting a freeze on all aid and development assistance to countries. And I know that MCA has been having, or even the Ministry of Cooperatives and Enterprise Development, they have been having projects with the U.S. government or U.S. institutions that are geared towards helping MSMEs. Are they likely to be affected?
Can I tell you, we don't have that many actually, because what we are about to roll out and what we had even previously was all World Bank funded. And even these 2 programs are also World Bank supported. We do have countries like Germany, GIZ support. We occasionally get some donations and funding from the US, but not significantly big. Germany has been very supportive, and they have actually...
What happens if Germany was to get to a point where the US has gotten?
I suppose we must prepare ourselves, because there is no surety. But what we already have, probably what I would say, O'Brien, is we already have enough in our hands to be able to turn around our fortunes. I think we just need to refocus and really just support. You see, if you look at a great world beater like Rhodesia or Faith Kipyegon, once upon a time they were babies, suckling, toddlers, crawling, then walking, then running and beating the whole world. That's the way we should look at our SMEs. They are small. And that's why the name emerging enterprises sounds better and plausible than just micro and small. Because for me, and I say this without doubt in my mind, it just means you're insignificant.
I want to hear this from you, Mr. Chairman, even before we come to the close of this conversation.
Yes.
You started on a very positive note,
yes.
Outlining some of the issues that are going to define this critical sector in the year 2025.
Yes.
With all the challenges that you have highlighted,
yes.
Are you still optimistic and that this sector will continue to thrive in 2025?
I have no doubt in my mind. Not at all.
Are you realistically optimistic?
Yes, I'm very optimistic, and I can tell you, this is where resilience counts now. This is where you find the rubber meeting the road. This is where real workers reside. And that's why I'm sure as we go through this, as we navigate through this whole scenario now that has been presented by the Donald Trump administration, we are only being asked, get your act together and pull together in one direction. And he has said, only those deserving cases, when you have proved that you have tried, then and then only can you go to them and seek support. So we have a sector that has what it takes. We have a sector that has what it takes to actually transform this country. if it is well supported, if it is well funded, and most importantly, if it is respected.
Before we wind up, I just want to us to listen to some of the sentiments from the people that we captured at some of the SMEs that we talked to in Kariobangi, and of course after that we come back and wrap it up. My producer, if you have the clips ready.
Jina langu ni Vincent Onyango, the proprietor. Mimi ndio mwenye kampuni inaitwa Quality Super Bodies. Nadili na motor vehicle bodies. Sana sana saa hii nafanya kazi ya electric buses. Challenges ziko kwa sababu saa zingine unapewa kazi mingi. Kama juzi nilipewa buses 10. Nifanye production ya window frames za buses 10. Out of those buses, kitu inataka kitu kama 2 million. Sasa inabidi utafute pesa ya kufanya hiyo kazi udeliver, alafu ndio unalipwa baadaye. So far nimeng'ang'ana, nimesha deliver buses 7 buses. Kama hapa Musea nasaidika zaidi kwa sababu ninapata incubation. So security ya zile buses zikiletwa hapa Musea yenyewe imechukulia security ya hizo buses. Kitu kingine napata nikitaka kutengeneza invoices zangu za KRA. Wananisaidia kutengeneza invoices. Kulipa incubation fee pia sio bei kali. Wananipatia mpaka vijana najaribu kufundisha. Hata vijana najaribu kufundisha hapa, wanajua mambo ya electric buses, wanaendelea na kazi. Lazima watafute fund iwekwe kwa Musea. Hiyo fund ikishawekwa kwa Musea, iwe directly watu wako kwa SMEs wenye wako kwa Musea incubation wapate first priority ya kupewa hizo funds. Hiyo ndio challenges zile tuko nayo kabisa.
Mimi ninafanyia kazi hapa katika Musea. Hiyo ni Kariobangi Center of Excellence, na sisi tunafanyia kazi hapa workshop number 11. Na sisi haswa tunahusika na kazi ya boiler fabrication, that is hot water boiler fabrication. Tunaanzia from scratch, that is rolling of the ducts, boring of the brates, na sana zile material tunatumia ni MS brates. That is tunatumia kuanzia 6 that is the inside shell yenye inatengeneza furnace, na outside shell yenye ina hold maji tunatumia 6 ile challenge ambayo tumekuwa nayo kwa saa hii ni rolling machine. Manake kama hii duct ya 6 hatuwezi roll na mkono, tunahitaji hiyo rolling machine ambayo itatusaidia. Ingekuwa hapa karibu kwa center, inaweza tusaidia sana kuroll hiyo machine, kuroll hiyo mabati ya 6 Hiyo kitu ingine ni shearing machine hii ya kukata. Ingekuwa na hiyo machine ya kukata, ingekuwa inatusaidia sana hapa. Manake saa hii tunapeleka huko Kariobangi Light Industry na inatucost, manake ni transport, inalipia transport ya kuenda na transport ya kurudi. So tulikuwa tunaona kama ingekuwa na hiyo shearing machine na rolling machine ingekuwa inatusaidia sana. Kitu hiyo ingine ni compressed air. Tungehitaji kama compressor. Manake wakati wa kupiga rangi inabidi tutumie zile za diesel ama petrol kupiga rangi. Tungekuwa na machine kama hiyo hapa kwa facility ingetusaidia sana, na tungepata faida kubwa tukiwa na hizo vitu hapa, cause zinatucost kuendea hizo services pande ya nje, either industrial area ama light industry. Hiyo kitu ingine ningetaka kusema ni mambo ya stima. Saa ingine stima inatuletea shida, tunapata tumekaa the whole day hatuna stima. Stima inapotea sana, na uko na wafanyikazi kama 5 ama 6 au wamekaa bure na inabidi uwalipe hiyo siku.
Kwa majina naitwa Julius Odur. na ninafanya kazi katika biashara center hapa Msea, na hii kazi nafanya inajulikana kama upholstery services. Ni mambo na kudili na kushona viti za gari, viti za motorcycle seats, hizi viti za ofisi na so many. Hii kazi yangu nimejipa jina kama Julie Believers Cushions. Chenye inafanya nipende hii kazi, hii ndio inafanya ni survive Nairobi. Juu hii ndio Mungu alinipea. Ni kazi ya ufundi. Sasa challenges mostly sana unapata zingine kazi ndio upotea kiasi. Challenge nyingine ya pili tuseme saa nyingine ukiwa na kazi mingi, being the owner, unapata saa nyingine client anakutafuta mahali ambapo inafaa uache kazi, na ukiwachia mfanyikazi kazi, customer akikuja apate kama huko workshop anaanza kelele, mara niache kazi yangu. Kuna kazi nyingine nataka tu wewe mwenyewe akupate kwa biashara yako. Mimi binafsi naweza sema kwamba kama serikali inaweza kututafutia kazi, juu ability tuko nayo, kazi tunaweza fanya, ni vile kazi tunajitafutia tuko nje kijua kali, but ile changamoto niko nayo kama mimi, hii kazi nimefanya for like almost like zaidi ya miaka 10, lakini sina barua yote inaonyesha mimi na deal, but ningependa serikali anipatie kitu kama barua ambayo hata nikienda mahali naenda nikiwa na confidence hawa si unaenda mahali unakaa kama mkora.
Majina yangu ni Apollo Kimori. Mimi ni technician. Huwa na deal na machines, kutengeneza molds and dies. Shida ziko kiasi hizi, hata kupata hizo kazi pia ni ngumu. Lakini huaga tuna manufaa each and every way ndio tupata hizo kazi. Sasa ukishapata unakuja hapa, you do the machine, then unafanya assembly. Isipokuwa ni serikali, sijakuwa nimefika mahali nimefika. Juu machine kama hizi kununua mimi mwenyewe siwezi. Lakini sasa mimi mwenyewe nakuja hapa natumia hizi machine, nalipa kitu kidogo, at the same time nafaidika. Machine saa zingine zinaweza kuwa sio enough. Unaona? Kuna machine zingine unaweza kuwa unahitaji lakini haziko hapa. Lakini sana zile ziko huaga zinatusaidia.
Some of the issues they have raised, or some of the issues that the SMEs are raising, expensive electricity, insecurity, unreliable and stable water supply, and of course access to financing. In 1 minute, before we wind up, Chairman, what is your response to these people?
Keep hope alive. We are doing whatever we can under very difficult circumstances. We are living in a real world where the world economy is also going through a down time. Mm-hmm. But there is hope. There is hope, and one of the things that I know my new CS, Oparanya, who I am truly grateful, and the PS, Mageni, and the management of MSEA, is that we are constantly pushing the boundaries to see how much more can we get. Mm-hmm. And really, even considering cheaper power within the work sites, and making sure that these work sites are secured. We have fenced off a lot of these CIDCs to make sure they are safer. We are looking at encouraging a 24-hour economy to be able to thrive, grow to the next level.
Very good.
And I appreciate KBC for really having me here today.
Thank you very much indeed, Chairman. We've been talking to the Chairperson of the Medium and Small Enterprises Authority. This is James Mureo, and of course highlighting some of the challenges and opportunities that this critical industry is facing in our country. My name is O'Brien Kimani. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. You have been watching Inside the Government live from our national headquarters here in Broadcasting House. Enjoy the rest of the programming. Thank you for now.